Such a. We're live! Hello, everyone. My name is Arsen, and I am the angel of objectivism. Druid, your intro.
Uh, when we last talked, we were talking about genders, and now, and changing genders, and now we will be talking about changing species. A very touchy, a very touchy topic.
uh, uh,
Yeah,
well,
my name is Druid. I've been
yeah,
with
there you go.
Arsen for a while.
Yeah, we're like online friends, except we don't ever meet up and have sex. You like that description? You like that description?
Yeah, sure. The description works.
uh, uh, well, do you mind if I first make a little announcement?
Sure. I mean, that's what the stream is named after.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's technically a big announcement, but technically, I was hoping that this will be an ongoing series. Like anytime I have like a live stream, like like where I have a guest, just talking shit and whatever.
Yeah.
Because of that one other live stream, I decided like to call it Microwave Extravaganza Episode 1.
Yeah, I noticed that, and I'm like, why?
Why not, right? I mean, after all, that's how this started.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever get that microwave installed?
Yeah. It's been installed for a year, I think.
Oh, good microwave. Good microwave. Good
Yeah.
boy.
It isn't not working yet.
Is it a real shit cheap microwave that I have?
No, it isn't. It's actually probably better than the one we had. Well, of course it's better than the one we had. I mean, the one we had was broken. But
Do you,
it's probably more expensive than the one we had. I mean,
do you have like one roommate or like five?
um two.
Two? Really?
One from time to time because he's just like he's always out of the house except he comes back like during midnight.
When
I don't
the
know what he
moon is
does.
out, right? When the moon is out, right?
If I can see the moon, yeah, behind all these trees.
Oh my god. So it's an apartment?
Um no, it's actually a house.
Oh, frat
Yeah.
house?
I wouldn't call it a frat house. I mean, we're all guys.
It's like, so I'm guessing it can't be a very big house. I mean, if it's like, unless of course you're secretly like a 30-year-old man or something. How old are you, man?
I am 1X.
The fuck is that?
you know, when people refer to like certain dates as like 20XX or
Yeah.
like 2000X, yeah, that's me. I don't
You're,
want to say 10X because that implies I'm 10. So I'll just say 1X so you can guess the actual number.
I don't know. I have no idea. Am I just telling us? Or you don't have
Teens.
to if you don't want to.
No, I'm not gonna.
You don't want to?
Yeah, I've already shown too much of myself to the public.
That's all right. That's all right. I'm in my 20s. I'll say that much. I'm not going to say
Yeah.
exactly how much. I'm just trying to guess because like I'm guessing you're in school right
Uh,
now.
no, I graduated recently.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
because I'm scrounging honestly. Like I have an apartment myself, and I'm
yeah.
not going to say where. I actually like I said I can sleep in different locations, but that's because I have family all across Wisconsin. So I've done that several times before. Sometimes to get away from ex-girlfriends, but I was wondering if like it can't be a big house. I mean, I just like I have like financial issues have been the biggest fucker for me for a long time.
Oh yeah.
It's yeah, just uh you know what I mean? When you're young and you got no money and you got nothing to impress any girls.
hmm
Girls like fast cars. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah.
But the announcement I want to make is but I bought Sony Vegas.
Sweet.
Come on, Windows Movie Maker is cancer.
Yes, it is. Indeed, it is.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's not like the most extravagant it's like announcement ever, but for me, it's like, oh,
Yeah, it's like finally. Part, part of the reason, I think part of the, I don't know if this is a statistic or not, but I'm going to say it here. Part of the reason why many early YouTubers decide to call it quits is because they're fed up with Windows Movie Maker.
Oh yeah,
That, that's just my personal statistic.
that's probably true. That's probably undeniably true. I
Yeah.
have to say I thank Windows Movie Maker while also fucking hating it at the same time because I wanted to create like. Have you ever seen the YouTube channel Black Pigeon Speaks?
I've heard of him, yeah.
Watch some of his videos; they're really well done. Obviously, he must have a really expensive editor, and I'm sure he spends many an hour a day editing. But it's
Hmm.
very high quality, and I kind of wanted my channel to be similar to that. Also similar to TLDR. Have you ever heard of him? Like he calls himself TLDR.
Teal Deer, yeah, I've heard of him.
Have you seen him?
Yep, I have.
So yeah, you know what kind of content he makes. Makes pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It,
because that's why I
it's
chose.
one of those. It's one of those like still image YouTubers
Yeah,
who like does
exactly.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. The problem is he can actually do more than just that a still image if he really wants to.
Yeah. Can you do like animation, like full on animation?
Fuck no. I can
Oh, okay.
I can do like the most benign. It is not even animation. I can do things that I can force to eventually be something similar to animation. Like
Yeah.
I can do, I can do small transitions, and I can use those transitions, and I can save it, and then I can take that footage that I've saved, and then and then add it back, and then do
Hmm.
other things in there, like take still images. I literally would like take like a Word document and do different still images and then like take like I kid you not, I would take those still images and then I would use the snipping tool to take a picture of it. And so if I wanted something to be animated like a ball bouncing, I take an image of that ball and move it all across the screen and take a picture every single time, and then add those pictures onto Windows Movie Maker. That's
Yeah.
that's literally how bad this editor is. So
Yeah. You're
yeah,
gonna love Sony Vegas. I can already tell.
oh my god. But I think it's because I wanted to make high quality content. I really, really did. And actually that's part of the reason why I don't even like a lot of my latest videos. I really don't.
Huh.
I don't like all the hyperbole I use. I don't like all the ad hominems I use. I think I use it a little too much. And so when I
Yeah.
get to Sony Vegas, I really am gonna enjoy it. And it's not the $300 goddamn one. It's a $50 one. So you know.
Oh yeah, that's the one that I have too. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's because I literally had to get so creative with like when you want to know what's one of the most unbelievable things about Windows Movie Maker?
Yeah.
I kid you not, I could edit something, save it, and then come back a few days later, and depending on how Windows Movie Maker felt that day, if it had its coffee or not, I would open it up, and hooray! I'm going to continue editing. Let's see. Let's make a little split here. Oh, everything after the split is gone. Oh, you
Yeah.
motherfucker! I literally like split two sides of a video in half, and then everything after the first half is gone.
That's why when I started my review series and my responses and stuff, I never used Movie Maker. I just used like anything but. I actually used a music maker program instead of Movie Maker. It
Oh my
wasn't even
god!
its intended purpose, but I used that instead to edit my videos.
And I think part of the reason why I even chose it, and I think chose Windows Movie Maker, is because it was free, and also
Yeah,
because I didn't really know of any other free editors, and I didn't have like a. Do you know what like a virtual box is?
I've heard of the term.
I'll explain because one of my friends, I'm not going to say his name, but he's going to school. He's going to school. I think it's in Illinois. He's going to school right now. For software engineering. So he's told me about it. And what it basically is it basically it's a simulating. It simulates a false computer. Like a false computer. It basically simulates the actual operating system. You have to have a large
Okay.
enough computer that has enough data on it, and you can put something like
Oh,
a program you think might be a virus in there, and it will test it, and it'll really and like if it infects that, you can just delete the virtual box and no harm to your computer.
oh, sweet. I think
Yeah.
that's what one of the Vinesauce people do when they're like crashing Windows versions.
What do you think? What? How else would they do it? I don't see
Yeah.
it.
Have you seen those videos?
Oh my god! One of my favorite ones is one with Joel. I think his name is.
Yeah, Vinesauce Joel.
Yeah, remember he has like the PC optimizer pro.
Yeah,
That was my favorite. He calls him up. He says, "There goes an Indian guy of all people answers the telephone and said, I was like, hello, hello, I need your help here. What do you need? I need your help. I have viruses on my computer. My son is jacking off. He's watching porn, and I need
yeah,
to build him a shed. I need to go to Kokomo." He just trolls the shit out of them.
yeah. Sometimes we get calls from people like that who are like, "Hey, we detected a virus on your computer,"
And then it's
and
always like, we detected a virus on your computer. Is it always like that?
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were Indian or not. I know that one of my roommates almost fell for it though, and
Yeah.
it's like the phone was ringing, and I didn't bother to check the caller ID at all.
No boy.
So
Ooh.
so I heard that he picked it up, and I decided to walk upstairs just to figure out who he was talking to. And turns out he's like, "Yeah, someone said that there was a virus on my computer. Can you help me?" And I'm like, "Why would they? Why would they call you?" And he said, "Yeah, they said they were Microsoft." I'm like, "Microsoft doesn't call people for viruses."
That's like the police calling you when they don't even know
Yeah.
of a crime and saying, "By the way, by the way, sir, were you the victim of this crime recently that was never reported?" Yeah. Oh my God. The world we're living in is just spinning round, round, baby, right now. Like,
Mm, yeah, it is.
uh, but here's the thing. Like, I'm guessing you live probably not in a very big house. You don't have to say it if you don't want to. If you have
No
roommates,
comment.
it doesn't sound like you can afford a lot.
Nah, no comment though.
No, you can't afford too much, can you?
I mean, I can afford like pizza, but if I have a gift card, maybe.
I mean, like, I'm just saying, like, obviously, if you're living with roommates, I highly doubt you can, be balling in a mansion. Is what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, like two out of the four of us have jobs. I know that the one who's like never here has a job somewhere. He makes money somehow. I don't even want to know how.
You have
But,
a job, man. You can always tell me you have a job.
not yet. I'm looking into an apprenticeship though.
Okay.
Yeah, we offer some apprenticeship programs down here that are pretty good.
Well, I'm not gonna rip on you for that, and well, I wouldn't because I like you, but I mean,
Yeah.
I also don't feel like even if I didn't like you, I would rip on you for that because Jesus Christ, I have been in the job market before. It is
Mm-hmm.
fucking awful. It is just, oh my God. You spend more. You might as well have a second job looking for jobs by the time you're done. It is mind bending.
Oh yeah. Like one of my friends, he used to work for Taco Bell,
Yeah.
and then he ended up leaving that, and now he wants to work for Fred Meyer, which is nearby. And like in between that, he's just staying at home, and he's like miserable because like he has to put his paperwork in all these different places.
Not only that, you don't have the money to go anywhere and do anything fun.
Exactly. Like I don't know if he has his own car because like he only had like the briefer stint at Taco Bell, and that wasn't enough to get him like money to buy a car.
Did you say reefer?
Recent, I don't know what I said. Anyways,
It's okay. It's okay. It's semantics. It doesn't matter.
brief.
No,
I said briefer, but that's not a word.
no. That's like another word for pot, by the way.
Yeah, I know reefer is, but with the B before it, I was
Oh,
talking about brief.
briefer?
Boxer briefs.
Lots of it's briefers. They're more brief than boxer briefs.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get a little hardcore and get into some politics. What do you say?
Yes, because I've changed quite a bit.
Oh boy, let's hear. Are you no longer or neo? Are you no longer a far left wing communist that you totally are? And I'm totally not bullshitting anyone right now when I say that. I'm totally not using sarcasm.
Yeah, people have accused me of being a far left, and I'm like, no, I'm not, even though I am. I'm
So,
rational.
uh, listen, comrades, all people are interchangeable.
I remember watching this old propaganda film. I'll go back to the
Where'd you
politics.
find it?
I remember watching this old propaganda film in school during my final year at high school, and it was like an anti-communist propaganda thing. And it's these two guys walking along. They're just talking about communism, everyday talk. And they come across this one lady who's like preaching to this crowd, and she's preaching about communism and how good it is and how good socialism is. Then those two guys are like, "Hey, if you like socialism so much, why don't you go live in a socialist country?" And then the woman just stares at them, then continues preaching to the rest of the crowd. It was the best thing ever.
I love that. Do you think that someone should take that film and like do a Thug Life version of that? You know,
Yeah.
I'd love that. Just like have the woman stare, and then when they walk away, you just see them freeze the screen. And of course, they have like the sunglasses, the hat, and the weed in the mouth,
Yeah.
and of course the rap music.
If I can find that video, I would totally make the edit. Not joking, I would.
Oh, that's amazing.
I'd even put it on my main channel.
Well, what's the hardest thing to argue with communists about is even the really smart ones who are more honest, who were oftentimes call themselves anarcho-communists. And so what they'll do is they'll say, well, yes, Russia was communist, North Korea was communist. Sorry for that. I need to get some more sleep nowadays. And all these other countries, like name a country that's known to be communist, like Cuba, communist, but they'll say it wasn't the kind of communism we wanted. We wanted no governments whatsoever. We just wanted like unions and stuff like that. And they'll start things like the Paris Commune, Catalonia, Spain, the Ukrainian experiments, all those, anarcho versions. But when you really get down to it, yeah, sure, they didn't. They tried to make a state, but they ended up with one. I mean, this is why I have problem with anarchists on both sides. It's like, so for the people who are libertarians, most libertarians are not anarchists. Most of them, like Lawrence Southern, Gavin McInnes, even Alex Jones, don't want no government. They're smart enough to realize that doesn't work. I kind of agree with him on I'm a conservative, so I believe in like limited government. But there are some people out there who just listen to Ayn Rand. They say like, well, we have to have capitalism with no government, or like Bucco, which is the communist side. We need to have communism with no government. I'm like, you fucking idiots! You think that's even possible? As Thomas Paine said, out of no governments, there will be governments. It's inevitable. Like, oh, there's no person with a monopoly on force. Well, hey, I like you, you like me. We have about 7 people. We all have machine guns, and we're not going to kill each other. Let's just conquer everyone, because there's no one to stop us. You know what I mean?
And eventually it turns into a government anyways.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point.
Yeah. Like, I like to think of ANCOM and ANCAP as like, well, I mean, ANCOM is more of a utopia than ANCAP is, or at least it seems to be.
Yeah.
But, when it comes to anarcho-capitalism, you're definitely going to have monopolies and people controlling each other. Yeah. Whereas anarcho-communist, it's like the anarchist's wet dream, where everything is just super good.
I like you say it's the anarchist's wet dream.
Yeah, because like I think a hardcore anarchist would be more ANCOM than anything else, because like
in practice, I think in theory.
Go on.
No, well, I'll say this. An ANCOM probably has a philosophy. Their logic, I think, here's something that's going to give me a lot of hate from the right wing. Oh boy. But an ANCOM, an anarcho-communist understands, because communism is supposed to be a non-hierarchical society that's governmentless, that's basically it's stateless, moneyless, and classless. So obviously, logically, you would communists understand that when you have that, you can't have anyone own private property. Anarcho-communism kind of follows more of the anarchist roots, but I think if there's still an economy, around, yes, you would have anarcho-capitalism, because people will trade as they want to. It's just that communists don't want that. They don't want. They want no class. And obviously, if you have trading, if you have an economy, there are going to be some people who are more rich than others, and there you go, class. So
yeah, I think a misconception I have in particular is that anarcho-communists I think one of the misconceptions I have is that anarcho-communists are fine with no government and everybody just being free to do whatever they want. Because ANCAP is kind of giving off the vibe that it's like, oh, everybody controls everyone else. Like eventually, it'll come to like the top 1% controlling everybody else under anarcho-capitalism because there's no regulations, et cetera, et cetera. I don't really factor in uh, anarcho-communism, and this is a mistake, by the way, because I always think at the back of my mind that anarcho-communism is like, yeah, everybody has private possessions, but there is nobody who can tell you, uh, like what to do with them, how much to pay in taxes. Nobody can do anything. But then I realized, wait, in communism, you have no personal possessions.
Yeah, exactly. You have private property, it kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
Um,
yeah. What's up?
yeah, but going back to the start of this conversation, I have changed a bit again. I used to be a centrist, and now um, this will get me some flack here, but I'm turning more like anarchist, and I don't mean like Antifa anarchist. I don't mean like the stupid like far left anarchist. I'm just talking about like, can we burn it down and restart type of anarchist. Like it's getting to a point where
Wait,
oh,
can I say something? Can I say something?
yeah, go on.
The only thing that's failing in this world is chaos. I'm an agent of chaos. And you think about me. The joke.
I gotta watch that movie again. I feel like it influences my beliefs a little too much. Anyways,
Don't blow the hospital, please.
I will not. I will not.
Okay. Go on.
I
What
have
are you gonna say?
I have some friends in there. Anyways,
Oh.
what was I talking about? Oh yeah, it's getting to a point where I used to think that both the left and right were stupid and I don't care. Now it's to a point where both the left and right are stupid and I don't care, but also the center is ineffective. Because like this will get I'm gonna be condemned across the board, but
yeah, because people are gonna be like, he's saying that the center is bad. Oh.
yeah, he's against rationality. No, I'm not against rationality. I'm actually all in favor for rationality. I'm all in favor for independent choice. But here's the thing: centrism as a political movement isn't working in our country. It just we've gone too far for centrism to actually work. And like they like I used to follow this page on Facebook called the Centrist Project, and I know that we've already covered Facebook and how it's like a cesspool of political opinions and whatnot.
Yeah.
But the Centrist Project used to be kind of a good thing because well, I mean, at least in my opinion, it used to be a good thing because it actually provided kind of a rallying point for centrists. But
Mm-hmm.
as we go along with politics, it's like there is very little actually being done on the centrist side. Yeah, sure, you have a bipartisan healthcare bill, you have bipartisan this and that, but it's not going to last
Yeah.
because we ultimately have a system that doesn't favor a third party. So it kind of reduces the value of the centrist party, and it actually makes them kind of redundant because the third party is just always going to be hit on, not romantically. They're always going to be hammered by the two parties in power.
Well, yeah, and I
So
think. Oh, good.
it's not that I really dislike the centrists because I kind of like their aim, but they're just not doing enough. Like it's just the whole movement is just not doing enough. They rather compromise instead of just taking the action themselves. They'd rather just plea out and say, "Hey, we need to compromise. We need to work together," instead of actually proposing
Like
things.
like the Libertarian Party, the candidate, what's his name, Austin
Rand Paul.
Peterson. I was gonna say
Oh,
Austin
awesome.
Peterson, going Republican.
Yeah, it's like when you go Republican or go right wing, left wing, Democrat, whatever. It's like, you, well, I don't know how close libertarianism is in
Libertarian,
comparison to like,
I think most libertarians consider themselves right wing. I think they say
yeah,
they're like they're to the left of conservatives, but to the right of everything else. I think what.
yeah, because I have a few relatives who are libertarian, but they are pretty much right wing. They're
Yeah.
like a libertarian in name only.
I,
Um,
I could personally be a libertarian. I just don't agree with everything Ayn Rand says. And I'm one of the. Here's the thing. Ayn Rand. Have you ever read her book Atlas Shrugged or what's the name? Something Head. I've read Atlas Shrugged. I haven't read the other one yet.
I've read. I
Fountainhead.
think I think I've read Anthem. If it
Anthem?
was Anthem was Ayn Rand.
I don't know. I've only I don't know how many books did she write. Do you think?
She wrote quite a bit, quite a few. I mean,
Like
I don't recall all the books she read. She did write Atlas Shrugged, Head.
Fountainhead. Fountainhead.
Oh yeah, Fountainhead. I haven't read that one, but I've heard of it.
I've only read Atlas Shrugged. Here's the thing. I don't agree with everything she says. But I'm one of the few people. Like usually, a lot of people either hate her or love her. I think she's right about 82% of the time. No, sorry, not 82. 89 is what I meant to say. Yeah, like a little bit more than a little bit less than 90, but by not much.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I don't think I could be a libertarian. I have a little bit of an interventionist bone in me. But my rules for intervention go on three principles. If you are attacked by another place, intervene. If your ally is attacked, come on, don't be a dick. They're your ally for a reason. Help them out. And the last one is genocide. If someone is committing genocide, and I'm pretty sure this isn't too controversial, but if a government is committing genocide, then intervene. Now, I would say if it's not a government, be very, very careful. I would really say most likely don't. That's 90% of the time I'd say don't. Because like if it's not a government, well then you can probably let whatever government rolls over that area stop it. It's their responsibility. But if it is a government, well then that's the group that has the monopoly on force, essentially committing something that is not only universally wrong. Like here's the thing: in Singapore, the laws are extremely strict. You can go to jail for 3 years for spitting gum on a train. That might be wrong. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, that might be wrong, but I'm getting the picture.
But here's the thing: there's no genocide going on there. It's an extremely strict place. But as long as you obey the rules, you're fine. A genocide is like you want everyone of race X or group X to die. So just by being a certain person and something you can't help, you're going to die. I feel that as a humanitarian, that's one thing where I would say, yeah, if that's the government doing that, you should stop that from happening. Except if it's in the Middle East. I think the Middle East is pretty much a lost cause at this point.
Oh, Mr. Arcean with double standards.
Hey, I'm not just the angel. I'm a angel of objectivism. It is an objective fact that we're fucked to go into the Middle East again. I don't see any benefits.
I'm trying to think of a name for a sequel to our adventures in the Middle East.
Like a movie?
Like imagine like the Bush era was a whole movie and the Obama era was kind of the epilogue.
Oh, an epilogue. Oh.
I'm trying to think of a sequel now.
What is that in the background?
Background. Oh, that's me working on some piping.
Piping?
I'm just playing around with some pipe that I found.
Oh. That's what she said.
Uh-huh.
Like
I always have to,
I thought that would be funnier.
I always have to give my hands like something to do while I'm talking, you know? Like I'm not ADD.
I'm autism here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, what do you think would be a sequel? Trump?
I'm trying to think of the name of the sequel. Like, the first movie was just Desert Dune Adventure.
Desert Storm? That's what you call Desert Storm?
Desert Storm, and like it would be a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie.
Oh God! Like, and it wouldn't even be. It would be like it wouldn't even be high budget. It would be really low budget.
And the sequel takes place in the Middle East, but also North Korea, and features Dennis Rodman.
And the best part is it guest stars Mel Gibson. No better, and it's directed by, let's see, who's a washed up person? Dolph Lundgren. That Swedish dude. He's actually Swedish. Did you know that?
Oh, Dolph Lundgren, you mean? Yeah.
He is Dolph Lundgren. I meant Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah, Lundgren.
Yeah,
He played a Russian in Rocky. I remember that.
yeah. It's kind of how his career went the entire way. It's kind of the only thing
Yeah,
we really remember from other than the Expendables.
yeah. I'm surprised I don't know if the Expendables is still going or not, but
Oh, I
yeah,
don't think I wanted to. I don't.
I don't know.
I
It's for me,
that's
it's like the Fast and Furious movies. It's like there's enough.
oh my
Like you have
god.
7 movies to choose from
Seven? Are you sure it's seven movies?
in the Fast and Furious. Yeah, there's 7.
Oh wow. Oh yeah, that's right. Oh my god, why? Oh
Yeah,
no, are you kidding me right now?
there are some people I knew who were like diehard fans of that, and like they were actually comparing the movies, and I'm like, wait, you're comparing like Fast Furious 4 to Fast Furious 7? It's like it's like one of those like jokes that you tell with Final Fantasy nerds.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
it's like,
I've
yeah, I
never
think
played it.
Final
I've never played
Fantasy
it.
10 is better than 14.
I've never played it.
Me either.
Fuck it, why not, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I know of Final Fantasy is that it's like featured in every like Game of the Year nomination.
Mm, well, it's not surprising. But of course, Mario and Mario has not changed much at all over the years. Let's be honest; it's not really.
No, it
And
hasn't. And I think that's kind of the good thing about it because it still kind of retains its charm.
yeah, but I mean, I just hate how like people are like, it's so interesting. Like, I never played Pokemon for a reason. It looks boring to me. I might, I
Yeah.
might try it someday, see what it's like. Are you a hardcore Pokemon fan? By the way, have I triggered you?
No, no, I don't get triggered.
uh,
I'm a
so my,
strong, independent man.
oh, that's you work out?
No, I should. So maybe I'm not strong, but I am independent.
Okay, there you go. That works just fine. Hey, can I tell you something that really just baffled me?
Grind your gears.
Yeah, well,
Sure.
you know what grinds my gears?
All right, go on.
I was telling you about like different libertarians like Gavin McInnes, Lauren Southern, Alex Jones, right?
Yep.
So I'm a fan of Lauren because she has probably more integrity than most people on YouTube. I really got to say, even me. I really want to get it back. I really don't want to make videos with ad hominem jokes. You know what? Honestly, part of that I'm going to just go on a tangent, but part of a lot of that is it's easier to do that when I'm making a video. When you have fuck mothering Windows Movie Maker for an editor, and
Yeah.
half the time you're like working on it for weeks, and all of a sudden, oh wow, half my data's gone, and I gotta start all over. My God, you sometimes you just say fuck it, let's just make a few jokes about this person, but
Yeah.
then I still think it's my fault. She made an entire video talking about like here's the thing when you remember the Las Vegas shooting.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, well, so many people. I'm a little guilty of this eventually until I changed my mind. I changed my mind almost a little bit before I saw her video, and so many right wing people, like Paul Joseph Watson said like that talking about gun control about as it relates to the Las Vegas shooting is misusing this tragic event to push your own agenda. She and I both agreed on this. I didn't ever speak to her. I'd never met her, although
Yeah.
that'd be pretty cool if I did. Come on. I mean, come on. Why not, right?
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. But
Hmm.
she basically said something that really surprised me. She said, "No, it's not wrong to talk about that. I don't agree with gun control, but these people who do should be allowed to talk about it because they think it will prevent future massacres." And so, when it comes to integrity, I really respect her a lot for that, and I really think she's more consistent on being logical over being a libertarian or being right wing than anything else. On the opposite side of the spectrum, there's Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah.
And so I recently saw a video by her. And this isn't a recent video of hers, but she basically made a video talking about recent TV. And I don't know whether they are owned by the Koch brothers or not, but she basically one of the things she mentioned about Google was she mentioned at one point, that she used to think that Google should be like left alone, but now she thinks it should be heavily government regulated because it's the only like major like it's a huge monopoly not literally, but effectively it is. My opinion about that was that seems like the wrong decision. She basically said it because she thought, well, you can't really, do anything about it, so why not just regulate it? I'm probably gonna get, if she ever sees this, I'm probably gonna get some flack if she ever hears this part of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing with Google is that
nothing but respect, girl. Okay, I'm just gonna say that right now.
Well, see, if she said if she said exactly that, then that's why I'd have to disagree with her because when it comes to Google, you're always going to have competition with Google. I mean, everybody wants to compete with Google.
Well, yeah,
you're going to have that. That's why Firefox exists. That's why Safari is a thing. That's why.
Yeah, but she means as an overall company, with YouTube, Alphabet, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Here's my response. I think that's a bad idea because then you are allowing Google to be a monopoly. I think what would be a much better idea would be to break up the Alphabet conglomerate, because Alphabet's the parent company, like make it so that way Google no longer owns YouTube, Motorola, I think they own Motorola, Android, they no longer own that. They get broken up, and then I would say some of the regulations on Google. Now, not all of them, of course, you want to regulate some of them, but one of the things that people forget is that there's a certain amount of quality that a company that dominates the market will put out until they get to a certain point of being popular. After that, they'll just start buying out other companies like they bought out YouTube or like they created Android. I think they own Motorola. I haven't. No, wait, Motorola. They don't own Motorola. They own Android.
Somebody owns Motorola.
Yeah, somebody does. They own Android though. And after that, because they just start buying out more companies or out competing them, and then this is the big reason why I'm against regulating Google heavily. Google and the banks and pharmaceutical companies, these groups do like heavy regulation. They do like it because of the fact that it allows them to basically make the market so hard to get into. They create such a high barrier to entry that only the big boys can compete. So I would say, if anything, Google could absolutely be destroyed and outcompeted by better companies because Google has gotten very, very lazy over the years. I mean, come on. I mean, they haven't made too many improvements, compared to like other companies at all. But the problem is so many tech companies that just don't even try because it's like, why? We'd have to have billions of dollars to face Google head on. And because of all these damn regulations, I would say it would be much better to break up the Alphabet conglomerates and then deregulate it and then allow other competitors to outcompete Google.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the idea of just saying, well, fuck it, it's a monopoly. And again, Lauren, Lauren, if you're listening to this right now, she's not. She's never going to see this. I guarantee you she's not.
Nah.
She is. I'm an abysmally small channel, but in case somehow it ends up on her feed, please don't come down to Wisconsin and stab me to death with a metal maple leaf. I don't want that.
Where Google's...
By the way, fuck the Canucks, go Blackhawks.
Anyway,
go ahead. What are you gonna say?
It reminds me of a recent article I read. Maybe it's not so recent, but I don't know if it was AT&T or some other company that tried buying out Time Warner Cable.
Oh, Comcast. That was with Comcast.
Yeah, was it Comcast who tried to buy out Time Warner Cable? And I think it was it wasn't. I don't know if it was the FCC or whoever tried blocking it.
Oh, they did.
It was they did block it.
They weren't allowed to do it. I was so glad about that.
Yeah, I was glad about that too. It's even though the FCC is kind of on a shit list right now, and I'll explain later on. You probably know why, but even though the FCC is on a shit list right now, it's nice that they're stopping mergers like that.
So I actually did hear some of that. I'm sorry.
What was that?
My screen turned off for a second around this fucking thing. I'm sorry about that. Whoops.
Well, even though the FCC is on a shit list right now, and I'll explain later on. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, it's good that they stop mergers like that from happening. But yeah, like you said, I think it's better that you just break up the conglomerate so you have more competition overall. People are always saying that the rich create the jobs in the country,
Yeah.
Well, I think that if you broke up the conglomerates, you have more companies competing. You have more competition. You have more incentive for those companies to grow and evolve and whatnot. I think that that's a better way to get. I might be wrong on this. I might be just talking straight out of my mouth and not with my brain, but I think it's a better incentive for
If you
the
have
economy
something
to
for
grow.
that, what's
Yeah,
up?
I think it's a better incentive for jobs to be created, the economy to grow, whatever. If you just break up those conglomerates, because then those companies can just go back to competing the way they were before.
Well, Time Warner Cable, which was actually a smaller company within the Time Warner conglomerate, broke off and became Spectrum. That's how
Yeah,
it happened, and that they're starting to suck less. And that's also why I was so mad when AT&T bought out DirecTV. I'm like, are you kidding me right now?
hmm
So I like DirecTV because they were pretty much they were essentially, like, I'm going to say this right now, they were the Thomas Sowell of cable companies. And I say Thomas Sowell because he's the shit. um, huge Thomas Sowell fan, but and all of a sudden, one of the worst providers of cell phone and cable coverage ever decides they're going to buy them out. Like they had AT&T Universe, which it's
yeah.
horrible. But have you ever had AT&T as a carrier?
No, I have not. I've always had like Verizon.
Oh, thank God! Oh,
Yeah,
I'm so happy. Oh, you don't want them. They are awful. They are awful. And then they
hmm
merge with
but we do have DirecTV, and we're probably going to cut it off soon because the cost is just so high, dude.
they've raised the costs. I know. They used to get
Yeah,
cheaper. It used to be cheaper for me. It actually, when I had it, with my friends and stuff, we used to watch whatever we wanted, and every year, because we were loyal customers, it actually went down. They actually
yeah.
always give us deals. Now it's just going the other way.
Like me and my roommates, like we were looking at the bill, and it's like, DirecTV is getting higher, and we're like, wait, why is that? We haven't changed the rate at which we watch TV.
Yeah.
Um, it took us a while to realize. Like we looked it up, and it's like, oh, AT&T bought it. Maybe that's the reason. So we still have it right now, but we're debating on cutting it off, like maybe next year.
Just get Netflix.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, it's you want to know what's probably the biggest stick in the ass to cable.
Yeah. What is it?
More and more sites like Hulu and Netflix.
Exactly, and that's why I want to get on a new topic later, but it connects with that so much. But yeah, Hulu and Netflix, they're absolutely dominating right now. So is like Amazon Video.
Oh,
Like,
and Hulu and yeah, Amazon Prime. I think.
yeah, they're absolutely dominating because people are choosing that over cable because at least you can choose what you want to watch. You don't have to like do with programming and whatnot. From a consumer standpoint, that's awesome. You can just
Yeah.
like search for a movie and watch it.
Well,
Um,
the big thing that's actually going to be happening that a lot of people have thought is like using Patreon to pay for every episode of a show to be made. So this way,
yeah,
like if you don't like the show, fine, you just don't fund it. It doesn't get funded. Or maybe you don't like the show, but other people love it, and so then the creators get it, and they don't have to run ads.
yeah, and that's an interesting concept because I was watching The Walking Dead recently because a
Oh,
friend of
that's a great
mine was
show.
like, "Huh?"
That's a great show.
Yeah, I was watching it recently because a friend of mine was like, "Yeah, you should watch the whole series." And I stopped it around like season 4 because I just needed to take a break. It got ridiculous.
It
Um,
did.
but yeah, I was watching The Walking Dead, and then I didn't realize I was told that Frank Darabont, the original showrunner, had been fired over the budget concerns for the show. And that's why
Really?
season 1 looks like the best like special effects laden season ever. Like you don't have like weird CGI in the
Like when they had all those walkers and Rick was like underneath the tank and everything. He had
yeah,
all that stuff going for it.
yeah. And like the zombie kills actually looked like kills instead of like a floating sword or something.
Oh
Like
God. Yes. I am very well aware of those.
but the budget was reduced for the show by AMC because AMC just wanted it to be lower because they wanted more money out of it. But it's like the first season is probably the highest rated out of all of them because it looks the best.
Mhm.
Um, yeah,
Well,
if it was funded using Patreon, I think it would be a different story
I,
because Like if it was crowdfunded by somebody, maybe like Walking Dead fans of the comic or whoever was interested in the show, if it was like a crowdfunded show, in theory, it probably would have been better looking
I,
because more money equals better production value.
I just hope I hope if that were the case, it would have still ended up with the same cast in the same location.
Yeah, yeah, it could because when it comes to crowdfunding, you're ultimately bending to the will of the crowd, and
Yeah,
they're probably I don't know if they would be ones to ask for fan service. I mean, they call it fan service for a reason, but there would probably be a lot more of that.
you mean like a lot of boobs and shit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I think that the fans would get upset if that became most of it because I think that it would be great if that was like a show like a ridiculous anime show because I know that they're out
Hmm.
there that in their very description they're supposed to be that, but then all of a sudden you would piss off all the fans who really like The Walking Dead, considering it's not one of those types of comic
Hmm.
books. It's a very serious one. So I think it would depend on what show you're funding. If you're funding a ridiculous show that's for shits and giggles, absolutely fan service. Nothing but fan service, maybe most of the time, and a little bit of storyline. But then if it's the opposite way,
Yeah.
like it's The Walking Dead or a
Like
series on like
I'm afraid to check the DeviantArt page on The Walking Dead.
uh, like
I'm
someone
afraid to check DeviantArt
a
anywhere,
zombie.
but on The Walking Dead especially.
Oh yeah, zombie sex.
Yeah.
Hashtag zombie sex, by the way.
Hashtag Sophia's back.
Yeah, hashtag the governor wins. Imagine how bad that would be.
Yeah.
Negan is absolutely. I love him. I swear to God, if he and the governor were to go after it, he'd win.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh boy, are we nerding out right now?
Well, I mean, I don't consider myself nerding out because I rarely watch television shows, but The Walking Dead is one show that even though it gets really stupid at moments, and even though it gets really ridiculous, I still like it
Yeah.
because it's just like the atmosphere that they keep going. But
Well,
man, are there stupid choices being made in that show?
give me an example because I don't disagree with you. I just want to know what
Yeah.
you find stupid.
So there was one. Okay, so they went into. I don't mean a choice as in choice by the characters, but
Mm-hmm.
I think it was at the beginning of season 4 or whatever. They go into this shopping store, like a grocery store or whatever, one level thing, and there's a crashed helicopter on top of it.
Uh huh.
They go into that store, zombies start falling from the roof because it's a weak roof. Now, how could it stand a helicopter crash, let alone zombies walking on the roof? Why did they decide to collapse through the roof at that moment if they were walking up there all that time? Why was it so perfectly timed? Why does like one little nudge send a whole alcohol counter falling on top of somebody? There were so many really weird coincidences in that scene that I just had to call it quits for the day, and I'm like, I have to process all this.
Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
There
Like
you go.
everything was a big Deus Ex Machina in that scene.
Yeah. Well, I actually have two other announcements. Do you mind if I get them out?
Sure, why not? It's your stream.
Yo, it's my stream boy. You just a guest here. Okay, so the second one is I'm going to actually be I hopefully once I get my editor, I can also get enough Patreons on my Patreon because I did create that recently, and I'm actually going to be selling T-shirts that say "fuck mothering Windows Movie Maker." and other ones that say, "Are you triggered yet?"
Do you
Yeah.
have a site in mind for those shirts? Like, do you know
Uh,
where you're designing
like
them?
who's going to be making them?
Yeah.
Custom Ink.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. They even said a lot of times they can be like the manufacturing arm to other companies that sell the shirts. Like other companies will design them and then Custom Ink will make them.
All right.
But yeah. But I'm hopefully going to be getting a mic. Hopefully,
Hmm.
like what microphone do you use?
I use a headset microphone. It's a nice one. It's a Sennheiser, but the microphone is kind of meh.
How,
Like
how
it
much
could
does it
use
cost?
more bass.
How much does it cost anyway?
It's pretty. It's pretty expensive. I think on Cyber Monday it was probably like $80, and that
Uh,
was like with a huge deal.
it's not the worst. Not the worst. I saw one for like 149. I think it was like the Yeti.
I think that was the base price, honestly, for this headset.
Oh wow.
Um,
I
but
was
Cyber Monday cut it down by a chunk.
yeah, but I was looking at like the Yeti Blue mic.
Yeah, that's the one that I'm hoping to get as well.
Yeah, it looks really awesome. But the reason
Did you
why
get
is
it?
because my voice sounds way weirder on my webcam because that's literally the mic I have to use in my fucking webcam.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, so I don't even have a separate microphone. So that's actually why I want to get the Yeti. But the other thing is the other announcement is I'm going to be going to Poland, and I will be doing a face reveal when I do that.
Poland. That's where one of my other favorite YouTubers is.
And who's that?
Ross Scott,
Uh,
Accursed Farms.
never heard of him. Sorry. Never heard of
I kind of guessed that. Oh well.
him.
But Poland, are you on like a trip or?
No, I actually want to meet up with the Generation Identity. Have you ever heard of them?
I've not. No.
Look them up. Look up the identitarian movement. Actually, have you ever heard of Brittany Pettibone?
No, I have not. This is entirely new territory.
Okay, look up Lauren Southern. Look up Brittany Pettibone, or the identitarian movement. Those two independent journalists have all covered that. And Matt, look up Martin Sellner. He's a German YouTuber who's a part of this. And what it is there's a lot of crime going down. This is something that some few people want to acknowledge, but during the refugee crisis, a lot of people snuck over here. In fact, the majority of people who are coming from these Muslim nations are not coming from Syria. They're actually coming from like North Africa and like Saudi Arabia and like all sorts of non-affected countries like Egypt, Jordan, places like that. And a lot of them are just coming for economic reasons. And they're being treated like they're refugees. And a lot of them are coming illegally. And do you hear about the rapes that happened in Cologne in Cologne, Germany on New Year's Eve a while back?
No, I have not.
Oh my God! Oh, well, okay.
I might have, but it might have slipped my memory.
Start looking that up because in the Arab world they have actually created something called Islam. Has a lot of shit that it needs to get worked out. It's never been reformed. Christianity and Judaism both have. Actually, maybe not Judaism. I don't know. Never mind. But Islam has created the Islamic Arab community has actually created something called Tarush Jemaya. That's Arabic for the rape game. I'm not shitting you. In Cologne, Germany, a bunch of these economic migrants went to a subway station and a whole bunch of other massive locations.
Oh yeah, it was part of that huge like outbreak of like what people call a rape epidemic.
Oh yeah, and there's video of these women screaming their heads off and like being dragged into the subway while they get like gang raped. And so and guess what? There's like ghettos that are being created, no-go zones where like only Muslims can go in there, only Arabs can go in there. Like they throw rocks at the police. They don't allow anyone outside of their community. They have like Islamic Sharia courts, and so we're kind of all sick of it, and to the point where it's kind of overwhelming the economy. Like here's the thing: if people wanted to come to Europe or even to the United States and legally immigrate here, fine, that's not wrong. That's fine. Don't sneak in here, and if they wanted to, assimilate to the culture, that's absolutely good. But most of what's going on is these people from the Arab world are not doing that. They're just attacking people. They sometimes like literally like if they go into the community outside their ghettos, they literally will like throw a rock at a window when they want to go home because they don't have like money to go back or whatever. So that way a police officer will pick them up, and because the police have been all told by the government to hush up, they get a free ride back home from the police. It's crazy. So Generation Identity wants only real refugees, people who are actually fleeing violence, to be allowed to stay in Germany and in Italy and in Europe in general, depending on which countries have the group Generation Identity. And they want some of these people deported, and they also want the mass immigration to stop, because a lot of these Arab groups have actually been infiltrated by ISIS and are being used by like the Taliban, ISIS, like a Hezbollah, all those groups, and
Yep.
they're using them to kind of infiltrate people. You remember the attack on Nice, France? Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was done by someone who was actually a migrant,
Hmm.
who came into the country illegally, and the governments are actually mass importing them. So Generation Identity wants to do that. I actually have some people who are from Warsaw. I have a few friends from Warsaw that live in Wisconsin right now, um, and they actually have some family back home that are just so sick of it. And is one of those countries that hates the migrant crisis the most. So I'm going to be going there. I'm going to be meeting the identitarian movements, and what I want to do is encourage them, as well as people who have been victims of rape by the migrant crisis and other groups that are just sick of this crap. We want to like protest the governments so loudly and so not violently. We don't want to become Antifa, but we want to push the governments to have a vote to leave the EU. That's right.
In Poland.
Yes, that's right. Hashtag poll exit.
What's weird is that Poland is actually not really affected by the Muslims, though, that are coming into Europe.
Well, that's because they're very, very hesitant to let any of them in. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like already Britain has left the EU unofficially. Of course, they had
Well,
the
they're still in the process. Yeah.
yeah. So after that, if Poland successfully leaves the EU, because Merkel is heavily pressuring them to take in more migrants,
Hmm.
hopefully after that, we can deport everyone who's not a real refugee and is not willing to assimilate to the culture. If they say, "Fine, I'm not a real refugee, but I'm going to submit to the laws. Here's my name. Here's everything. I would like to legally immigrate here." Fine, fine.
Well, I mean, how would you determine who is a real refugee or not? Because anybody can say, "Yeah, I came here with my family."
They have to show ID. They have to
ID.
show ID papers, all sorts of stuff. There is actually a real vetting process to that. That's very effective. I don't know all the nuances of it, but there's a way of doing that.
Well, not to like burst the bubble, but if the vetting process was effective, there would probably be less terror attacks overall.
Yeah, but the real problem is they're not using it. That's what especially in Germany of all places, they don't use it. They specifically allow these people to not be vetted and come in without restrictions. That's the thing that pisses me off, because like I said, if someone wants to legally come here, abide by the laws, I don't give a fuck where you're from. Come on in. Come on in, my brother. Just obey the laws and come in. I'm an immigrant to the U.S. Believe it or not. I'm not going to say from where, but I am, and I obey all the laws.
Mhm.
I just say do the same thing. Do what I did. There you go.
Yeah, and then people are crazy about like, oh, the Muslims are coming in, they're going to turn everybody into Islam. It's like the same thing that people said about the Germans in World War II. We already
Uh,
have like a Muslim population in our country. Like they're not really doing anything. I mean, like we do have terror attacks. We do have attacks that are claimed by ISIS. But
yeah,
at the same time, it's like this isn't really an immigration problem because some of these people have been turned radical right here. I mean, I'm one to talk. I turned from a centrist into like an anarchist. So
well, I think that's a little bit unassuming. I do get your point. You shouldn't just believe that everyone who's from the Middle East is going to be a bad person. I just think the big problem is culture in Europe is changing for the negative, because of the fact that like if it was like a few hundred spread out all across Europe and they were all told to like obey the laws, that wouldn't be a big deal. The problem is it's millions upon millions of people, and most of them are not assimilating. They're creating little ghettos where no one else is allowed. No one but the Arabs are allowed to even go in there, and they are raping women. They are kind of forcing Europe to change against its will. That's my problem with it.
yeah,
It was only like let's say 200 people. 200 people come in, they all got ID, boom, they're okay. It's just that it's like millions upon millions, and they in Germany and Belgium and the EU want to invite more. And the big
yeah.
reason why is big government. They want people who are dependent on government subsidies who will vote for big government in the future.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think the problem just isn't that it isn't the refugees themselves. It's the farther left governments in Europe who are enabling like the attacks to take place.
Yeah.
The thing is that a lot of people in America are like, yeah, Europe is like so far left. They need to get their act together. European politics are much different than American politics.
They really are. They
Like
really are.
compared to Europe, the U.S. is actually a right-wing country because
Yeah.
we're still like um I'm talking with a Swede guy and a guy from Sweden who lives in Sweden in a group chat for the network that I'm part of,
Okay.
and he made a comment. He's like,
Wait, wait,
"Yeah,
wait,
you
wait,
Americans."
wait, 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 wait. This is the downfall network you're talking about, right?
This is the Downfall Network. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
He said, "Yeah, you Americans are backward. Like you need to fix all this crap up that everybody's already done in Europe." And like the Americans in chat were just arguing with him over why things shouldn't happen. It's like, yeah, I thought about it. I'm like, wow, like my views would probably be like right wing in Britain or right wing in France or whatever.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
European politics is different than American politics in that way, and I don't think it's not that Americans have like no say in how European politics should be run, but it's just that like you kind of have to keep it in mind because like what you say that could be like whatever wing in America could be the totally opposite thing in Europe.
True. Well,
And like Angela Merkel and all those people who claim to be like conservative or whoever, they're actually like left wing, and it's like,
well, I don't know. Actually, I don't know what Angela Merkel considers herself.
she's
I think
part
that
of the Christian Democratic Party or whoever, who used to be conservative, but now they're like left wing.
they might be center left for Europeans. For us, it's like far left. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I personally, one of the reasons why I don't like her is because of dishonesty. I could see if she was openly saying, I honestly think that we should have more subsidies for refugees, and I think that Europe should change to become more Muslim. I might be a little more respectful of her, although I think I would still say you're very, very wrong. This is the reason why I respect, but I don't agree with Karl Marx. He never said anything that I thought was dishonest. He just said things that I thought were wrong. I thought he was just wrong. But integrity is so important. When you really want to have someone trust you, they got to know that you mean what you say, that you're not lying to get votes. Angela Merkel, on a regular basis, lies to people. She doesn't just simply, she doesn't just simply say things that I would heavily disagree with. She literally, to your face, will be completely dishonest. She will lie. And there's people on the left like you. Well, do you consider yourself like a centrist who has more left-wing
I just
views?
consider myself outside the system.
just
It's like to a point where I don't care and I just don't want to be aligned.
just fuck it all.
Yeah.
How serious.
Like I said, burn it down, restart.
Yeah. Don't blow up a hospital and put up clown makeup, though. Whatever you do.
No, I'm not going.
Oh, good.
That is not the direction I shall take.
Okay.
Anyways, go on.
Yeah.
Moving on from that.
Like I said, I disagree with Lauren Southern on some things, and I've told you guys before what I disagree on. Yes. I'm a conservative and not a libertarian for a reason. I think me and her would probably, if we had a drink together, I'm pretty sure we'd end up having a great conversation by the end of it and really enjoy each other's company. I'm pretty sure if I did a live stream with her, we'd probably agree on about 85%. But here's the thing. The reason why I respect her is not because we have most of the same views. It's because she has integrity. There's a reason why I respect people on the left that are not even libertarians, that are like absolutely liberals. Like Sargon of Akkad. He has integrity. Everyone knows who Sargon is.
Yeah, I have my own views on him, but I'll let you continue.
We can get into that a little later.
Yeah.
But even like ContraPoints. Like I disagree with ContraPoints, and she's like a far left transgender woman. I disagree with her on a regular basis on almost everything. I respect her because she has integrity. Angela Merkel does not, by any stretch of the imagination. People forget that if you mean what you say and you act on it and you don't just say words, you show them. You show them what you mean.
Yeah.
They will respect you because at least you were honest. But Angela Merkel not only is wrong, she is always misleading people and constantly guilting them That's the thing. That's the thing. If you have a girlfriend, if you ever get a girlfriend, Druid, and she guilts you all the time to do things you don't want to do, dump the bitch. She's not worth it. I've
Yeah.
I've had a few girlfriends in my lifetime, pretty decent amount. And I remember there was one girl who, on a hotness scale of one to 10, she was an 11, and because she was that, obviously she was a 10, but I'm gonna say 11 because my God, she was hot. That was the only reason why I stayed with her. That is the only reason. That is the only reason.
Thought Patrol.
What?
Thought Patrol.
Thought Patrol. I don't know what that means.
Anyways, go on.
What? Say what?
Go on. You had a point. I'm just making an offhand comment.
By the way, do you know if anyone's actually said anything in the chat, or I don't think anyone's watching right now?
I don't think so either. It doesn't show the viewer count.
Usually our views go up afterward. People see the stream afterwards, so whatever. But she literally came to my house one time in her car for our first dates. And she this was when I was still in high school and stuff, and I kid you not, we were gonna go to the zoo. She came in a car that I swear looks like it had been through 3 accidents that totaled it every time, and someone was put back together like Frankenstein. And I was like, she's hot, let's go out anyway. And then the second time, and this should have absolutely told me to break up with her. The second time, I'm like, that she did something wrong, was on that same date. We went to the zoo, and she looked at I swear to God, a gorilla. I said, that's a silverback gorilla. And she said, I don't know. All I see is a nigger. And I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck?
Oh, she's one of those people.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't even know if she was a fascist. I think she was just fucked up in the head. And then when I met her,
like, there's a lot of people who say that word, like they're trying to be like, oh, we're desensitized to it, so it's all right. And it's like,
oh my God! And then
I'm not naming names, but I hear it every day.
Yeah. And then when I met her dad was an overweight dude, that looked like all glassy eyed. And when I tried to talk to him for a few seconds, he kind of faded in and out. And after going at like being in her house for like a few hours, I was like, this is creepy. The house looks like a crack house that was recently flipped. Into like, when I say crack house, I mean like it looked like people had like it didn't look totally like a crack house. It was more like if someone took a crack house and like was trying to flip it by like making it better and then quit halfway through and it was only half good. So after that, I'm like, I'm sorry, little guy, looking at my dick. That's not gonna happen. Sorry, I don't want to get an infection, please. So, all I'm saying is, oh fuck, what was I talking about?
You're talking about like
integrity.
Integrity, yeah, integrity.
So this girl obviously had none because goddamn, and so that's why I had to break up with her. And I would say this. I am going to keep all the videos that I've ever made on my channel, including the ones that I don't like, the ones where I'm using way too many ad hominems, just to remind me not to do that anymore, because I don't want to do that anymore. But as I was saying, if you have no integrity, why would someone want to talk to you? That basically tells me that even if you agree with a lot of my views, you don't really agree with them. You're just saying shit to get some kind of angle. So why would I want to be with you? You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Anything you want to
add? Integrity. When it comes to political leaders, I feel like this is something Vernaculus said in his most recent video. Have you heard of Vernaculus?
Is it that guy who has like that football shaped avatar?
Yeah, football head.
I've heard of him. I love that dude.
Yeah. People call him football head. Anyways, he said this in his most recent video. He said that people always have to like bend to something that's like, well, not. I'm kind of paraphrasing. People always have to like make their opinions kind of safe in order to be accepted. people kind of have to like tone down their beliefs in order to like be accepted and not be called out as like a bigot or whatever, or be called out as a radical. And I feel like many European leaders and many American leaders and senators and stuff like that, if they were just open and flat out about their opinions, we would actually have more progress as a planet, let's say. Like Angela Merkel, if she was open and flat out about her beliefs and not trying to get votes, there would be progress because
Yeah.
she would flat out say what she was going to do. Even if you didn't believe her, you could still give her credit because she's still like speaking what she wants. And people vote for the people vote for the people who represent them, who represent their beliefs. So if you're going to be as honest as possible, you have a lesser chance of like betraying those people who voted for you. Now, is everybody going to vote for you if you're so open and honest? No, they're not, because the slightest thing can make somebody switch their vote. I mean,
People
look,
are emotional. People are emotional. That's the thing. You're right.
yeah, people are emotional, and like if you not if you play off their emotions, but if you're just honest about what you believe in and what you say you'll champion, you'll get people siding with you.
Yeah. And
And
I
even
would
if you lose, it's you're still going to be remembered as somebody who's like, yeah, that person was honest. They were actually going to do something about that.
Yeah, and obviously I've agreed, like, even when it comes to Angela Merkel's actual policies, even if she were to be honest about it, I probably wouldn't vote for her, but I would
Yeah.
at least respect her, and I would say that she would probably get more votes. She was enough. She got enough to make German chancellor, but even then, I just feel, that's something that I think we need more often is integrity. I think we need someone. I think we need. I think we. Have you ever noticed that we kind of have started making stigmas a stigma in and of itself? Like you can't have stigmas against people. We're like for instance, the gay community. I think people should be
Hmm.
able to be gay. Here's the thing, because it used to be a stigma to be gay. Now it's really really accepted. We've kind of accepted the fact that a lot of gay people have like a lot of anal sex without a condom. There's even a group called the gift givers and the bug chasers. They like to give each other infections and other people without their permission. And we've kind of basically not put any kind of social standard on their sexuality. We haven't said like, you should be sexually responsible, you should use protection. At some point, do you think that like we have gotten rid of like any expectations that we have for anyone? Because if we have, I think that's like where you can see things like the fat acceptance movement coming around.
Well, when you talk about expectations, do you mean um, like assumptions, like stereotypes, or
No, not really stereotypes, just like beliefs about how society should behave. Where like you say, like, I don't want to enforce this by law, but I think it should be taboo to have for a girl to go around and sleep with as many guys as possible. I think it should be taboo to go ahead and and let's see what's a good example, and to eat yourself into obesity. I've been obese
um,
in a part of my life, and I am
yeah.
no longer there. I've gotten in really good shape. Thank you, Jeff Cavalier from athleanx.com, by the way. Um, but I feel, if we don't have any kind of shaming for other people, our society will crumble because we'll have no. A lot of times, our expectations of ourselves will come from how other people view us.
Well, see, how do I word this? So, when it comes to social things, I'm pretty left wing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I'm a live and let live person. Let people do what they want if it affects themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm all for people. Like if they want to take a drug, let them take a drug. Instead of blocking things for people, educate them on the goods and bads so they can choose for their own. It's like in the movie Thank You for Smoking. Have you ever seen that?
Oh, that was a great movie. I love that movie.
Yeah. Um, for people watching this stream or who will watch this video in the future when it's published, who haven't seen the movie, Thank You for Smoking is a movie that basically uses the object of cigarettes to push this message of we shouldn't just say that cigarettes are bad or we shouldn't just say that things are bad. We should educate people on like the goods and bads, pros and cons. We should just at least educate them and not instinctively try to block them.
Well, that's true, and I love the ending and the original
Yeah.
ending, not the alternate version, which was dog shit. But you want to know something interesting about tobacco? It's really no worse for you than alcohol. The fact of the matter is like large giants like Marlboro and Camel have been fucking you in the ass most of the time, it's because they have the majority of the markets. And believe it or not, there's a lot of the FDA regulations are doing the same thing. Only Marlboro can really afford it. Marlboro, I think, is eventually going to become a monopoly of itself. But here's the thing: like, you know, homegrown tobacconists will actually grow their own product, and they'll clean it really well and make it look really, really nice. While, you know, Marlboro will like let dog shit on it. They don't clean it well. They use like rotten tobacco a lot of times, and they mass ship it. They don't clean it right. So, you know, here's the thing: the reason why I say, you know, like I encourage the nuclear family and I encourage sexual responsibility is because it has been kind of proven that fatherless homes have a large percentage of the kids that are come from there become criminals. It has been proven that when you do sleep with guy after guy after guy, and you don't really try to control your sexuality, you don't try to stay with one person, not only does it increase your chance of pregnancy even while wearing a condom, but you're more than likely to contract an STD, you know, if you're not monogamous. And women become less happy because they have less easy times pair bonding with people they have sex with. So I say, you know, obviously, like, you know, I don't want to just go ahead and reinstitute like the Catholic Church ruling over, you know, the West. But I would say, you know, is it really so bad to say that overeating and eating way too much and getting fat and obese should be something we should look down on? Is it really so bad to say that, considering it's been proven that there is no health benefits to being obese? There's no net plus. And
well, you can always look down on it, but at the same time, it's a person's personal choice whether they do it or not.
yeah, well, and
Like, same with the nuclear family thing. Like, you can say that it's the right thing to do to have a nuclear family, mother, father, children. You should say that that's the right thing. That's what people should strive for. But there are going to be gay people. There are going to be relationship problems.
Yeah, or even two gay people or like two lesbians. You know, that'd be fine with me.
Yeah. Like for me, like what I would say is just let people do what they want to do. Like society, I don't like. Well, partly because I've been kind of an outcast of society myself all through my school years, and I've been kind of a loner. I don't care that much for like society's expectations. So whenever it comes to like society norms and like traditions and stuff of our country or whatnot, I'm just like, I don't care. Like, let people do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to teaching people, for instance, like teaching kids, when it comes to society, they'll be like, yes, you have to teach kids right from wrong. Morality isn't like that. Like you can. So here's the thing. You might disagree with me.
Probably will.
Is it wrong to steal? Well, in my belief, yes, it is. But in another person's belief, they could justify it. Is it wrong to kill somebody? In my belief, yes. But in another person's belief, it could be justified under certain conditions. Morality is subjective because it's based on the culture that we grow up in.
To a certain degree, I would say there's some objective morality because it's about what will allow society to be productive and whether you have the right to do X or not to someone else. Like one of the things I would have to say, one of the things I would really have to say is that it's not so much always that you have these standards, that you have these standards. First of all, the reason why I say taboos is because I think there are some things that that should just be illegal. Like, for instance, I think it should be illegal for you to be able to give someone a sexual disease without telling them and know that you gave it to them, because that's essentially killing. That's essentially attempted murder via a disease.
Yeah.
But I think what I believe though is that I don't like the state. I'm kind of a minarchist to a certain degree. I kind of like having small governments. So my belief is that there are some things that should just be enforced by people being told you shouldn't do it by society, and then people who have a reason to disobey it, like say someone and left their husband and took the kids with them, maybe because the husband was an abusive asshole, will ignore society's norms because they have a good enough reason for it. And I think also a part of it is like a lot of taboos will come with a reason. So most people in society will not care if you want to start a taboo unless you give X reason. And when you use things like religion, then it's probably not a good thing, because then all of a sudden people just say, "You are disappointing God, you heathen." But on the flip side, if your reason is something like, for instance, like, well, your kids need a father figure around, you know what I mean, and you want a good father figure. Well, then all of a sudden, if your husband's an abusive asshole, he's not much of a good father figure. So they would say, "Oh, okay, you know what? Yeah, I get it. You know what? Just get the fuck out of there before he kills both of you, and find someone who's a better father figure." So I think people forget that social norms, they oftentimes do come with a why. Why are you doing this? Why is it that it's a norm? And that, I think, is the key thing. If you have a reasonable, logical why, people will be able to make exceptions if you explain to them why it is, with reason, if you have a good enough reason why that's a norm in the first place.
I explained something similar in a video directed towards the world from Ferg, who I no longer keep up contact with. He was talking about immigration into the country. He's very hardline against immigration into the country. He's kind of like the Donald Trump stance on immigration.
Build a wall.
Yeah, build a wall and then like have the IDs and stuff like you would say, except like to a much higher degree.
Like build a wall and a moat, and have
Yeah.
machine gun armed guards or something like that, right?
But his problem is not that it's dangerous people coming in; it's the culture that's coming in. Because he's kind of a person who values the American culture, and immigrants coming in would dilute that culture, apparently. And I explained this to him, and this applies here for like taboos and society norms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I presented a culture A and culture B argument.
Yeah.
And so this is what I was kind of saying earlier. Like, let's say a person from culture A looks over at culture B in a town next door or a house next door and sees a beheading happening. Culture A would see that it is wrong because that's not how they were raised. Their culture says, no, we don't do beheadings here. That's not a form of punishment.
Yeah.
We just don't do that. That's wrong. But culture B is fine with it because they're growing up in that culture and that's what they believe in. And that's not taboo for them. So when it comes to like taboos in our society or whatever, I kind of get like, I kind of just like something in my brain just tells me
You're an anarchist. You're an anarchist at the end of the day. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm an anarchist. Like it just doesn't matter. Like taboos and stuff, it's all just one person. It's all just one person doing what they want to do. And if you don't like it, that's how you were raised, and like, or that's your personal belief, anyways.
Well, taboos, I think, should only be used for things that I think that should be the norm, but not enforced by a law. Things that shouldn't be considered a crime, but should be kind of the norm. One of the things I would say about that is that if you come into if like there's two houses, like what you said, and you saw the beheading, if culture B wants to come over into your house, they should be like, well, I don't have to allow you into my house in the first place at all. I could have every right to say you shouldn't be here at all. So if you're going to come here, these taboos are the ones that are enforced, and these are the laws that are enforced. As long as you obey the laws, you won't be kicked out. But just remember, we're not going to go ahead and change our ways for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So, like it's illegal in culture A, but in culture B, it's perfectly fine. And if one person goes to another person's house, they kind of have to abide by those rules. I mean, it's like typical house rule things. If there's one tradition, like if there's one tradition and norm that I will agree on, it's the house rules thing.
Yeah.
Like, people are entitled to have their own rules of the house, their own like instructions, whatnot.
Yeah. And that's what the country is. I think the country is a house of people.
But simply denying somebody access simply because of their beliefs is not a good thing. I mean, like, I'm not advocating for immigration into the country. I'm not advocating for like mass immigration because yes, we do need a system in place that accurately depicts who are the real immigrants in need of help and who are just the terrorists infiltrating them. But it's wrong to just flat out say, we're not allowing you in here because your culture is different from ours. It's better to...
I was going to say, go ahead, finish your sentence.
Yeah, well, it's wrong to say that, but it is okay to say, you have your culture, I have mine, but as long as you're in my country or in my house, let's say, then you have to abide by my rules, etc. And if they're okay with it, they say yes. Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah. It depends on what part of the culture. Like, if it's a part of the culture to do something that over there is taboo, but over here is illegal. That's a little different because if they say because we'll say you can't do that over here because it's not just taboo, it's also illegal. But if it's not illegal, well, that's kind of a different story then, because then you're talking about oh, you just don't want to do it. Like for instance, like a lot of Latino immigrants and even Arab immigrants and African immigrants tend to be having a lot of kids to the point where they can barely take care of any of them. That shouldn't be illegal, but they won't find success in the U.S. and it will be on them, and the only person who will be affected by them is them. And I wouldn't want to tell them what to do. I would just say that maybe in our own society we should encourage that to not be a norm, and then the people who want to obey will obey, and the people who don't want to obey will obey. By the end of the day, I would say let them immigrate, let them come here, because they aren't going to be doing anything that is illegal. I don't want to just say you are different, therefore you just can't be here.
Yeah, like if what you do in your culture is illegal in another culture, then you should abide by the rules of whatever one you're going to. But if it's just simply taboo, then you can do it, but you're probably not going to be looked highly on for doing it.
Yeah, and that should be an individual,
people
choice.
People like when it comes to religion and stuff like that, like Islam, or when it comes to culture, people tend to misuse law with taboo or law with social norms.
Yeah,
like they come here and they'll think, oh, Muslims will instantly just behead anybody. It's like, well, if they do that in their culture, that's one thing. But if it's illegal to do it here, they probably won't do that.
yeah, unless there's so many of them that the amount of police there aren't enough to control them, and that's the big problem in Europe. It's just not really that there's one or two Muslims, they're not going to screw with us. But when there's millions upon millions of them coming in, we just don't have the police force to enforce laws and all those people.
And that's why we need a solid immigration policy. I'm not in favor of a lot of Donald Trump's policies or his proposed plans.
You're not? You're not?
Whenever
Wait, you're not, Druid? Oh my God! Well, the wall just got 10 feet higher.
Yeah. For every disagreement you make with me, the wall is 10 feet higher. Anyways, I don't agree with a lot of his policies, but what I do agree with is the fact that we need a tighter border control. That's the one thing I do agree with. Now you can cite leftists would like to cite many sob stories of immigrants and stuff, like Vice documentaries. They like to cite these many sob stories to get people to sympathize with these people, to empathize with them.
Before you continue, can I mention a little tidbit about Vice that might make you laugh?
Sure.
Gavin McInnes was one of the original founders before he left.
Oh, and look what it turned into.
Yeah, exactly. Go on.
But anyways, you can tell the sob stories, and if they're real, then it's real. But that shouldn't affect an outlook, honestly. Politics plays on emotion. But when it comes to the well-being of a country, you can't let emotion get in the way. You have to be objective, and you have to think of the actual workings of the country and not just emotion. That's something that Angela Merkel and a lot of the left politicians in Europe don't understand, because they play off of emotion, but they don't actually give a solution that would be a lasting solution, Yeah. They just give you a story of these immigrants have been in a war-torn area for a long, long time. Some of their family members have died. They need a place to stay. That's a sad story, but that shouldn't be the deciding factor as to what you do with your country.
Like that Eileen, or that alien and whatever kid, Cal something. You know the one that famous picture of that kid that washed up dead on shore, off of Europe.
I don't think so.
No, it's the one that I say remember the family of this I don't know, Turkish or Syrian refugees supposedly that washed up on shore dead or whatever. They were using it a lot. It's a very famous picture. I forgot what it's called. Eileen Curdy or something like that. Curdy.
Oh yeah, now I remember. I remember the image. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's emotion based. But you want to know why it's so effective?
Why?
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to be making a video.
Well, besides the fact that it's a child.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing. I think that obviously there are some very reasonable people out there, like Steven Crowder, Lauren Southern, Brittany Pettibone, sometimes Stefan Molyneux. No offense, Gavin McInnes, but you can go kind of off the rails at times. even someone like Jason, forgot what his name, but he's an anarcho communist who I actually think is very calm about it. He runs some kind of like news channel. Jason something or other, Jason Durner, something whatever like that. But these are all very reasonable people. Even them, I would say if they really looked at it, and if you guys are listening right now, any of you guys who just mentioned or listening to yourself, ask yourself, do you think all the decisions you made today were logical? I guarantee you, at least 60% of them are emotion based. Humans are not really as logical as we'd like to think. We're more logical than almost any other animal, but even then, most of our decisions, like when it comes to what job we have or who we want to mate with, are almost all emotion. Because there's a great video I'm going to be making. I'm already calling it great. It's going to be the best video ever. But it's going to show a lot of experiments that really show how there are logical, clear decisions that we should easily be able to make that people in these situations choose not to make. The first one is going to be called, the first one I'm going to show, which I'm going to be talking about why they show our logic, is going to be called the Milgram experiment. Have you ever heard of that?
It's popped up a few times, but I've been dusty on definition.
So what it is an experiment where like it's all fake except for the person who's the subject. He doesn't know it's fake. So what happens is that this guy goes into this room. He's the real guy. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know it's fake.
Oh, like the Eric Andre show. Okay.
Yeah. And he goes in the show. He goes down there and there's like like he can't see the other person, but there's a person on the other side who's pretending to be hooked up to a bunch of like electric shocks. You know what I mean? And he has to answer questions, and every time he gets it wrong, he's going to get a shock. And so he's supposed to answer about every other question to every third question wrong, so he gets shocked. And every time he gets shocked, the person who's on the other side controlling it, who's the real person who doesn't know it's a fake thing, has to turn up the volume on how painful it is. And every time the actor who's on the other side has to pretend to be hurt where he doesn't want to do it anymore, and eventually where it becomes painful. And so the entire idea is the person who's conducting the experiment, there's like a guy in a lab coat. He's supposed to pretend to be a doctor who keeps asking the person to keep going, to keep shocking him, no matter what happens. The idea is to show whether someone would be emotionally strong enough to walk away. But literally, I think it's like 8 out of 10 people did not walk away. They kept shocking the person until they didn't hear a response back, and they think the person's dead. I know, it's scary, but when you have an authority figure, you will not do the same thing. There's also another one called the Ash conformity test. I bet you've heard of that, right? So there's a line on a board, and that's called a baseline, and it's separated from 3 other lines, and there's line A, B, and C. Only one of them is the same length, and it's clear which one it is. But while you say it's B or C or whichever one is the same, everyone else will say a completely different answer, and all the other people are actors, but you're not. You don't know that's going on. And guess what? After a while, most people end up saying it's whatever the rest of the group says.
Okay.
But I'm going to go more into detail. We'll use a bunch of other experiments, but it's just basically a video I'm going to create to show how a lot of times the reason why we listen to people isn't because they're always right. It's actually maybe because they know how to play on our emotions. They understand charisma. They understand body language, tonality, eye contact, all sorts of things that were ways of communicating back in the days when we were just 8 people. And at the end of the day, we humans are really not as logical as we would like to pretend we are. Because if we weren't, everyone's heard of this one. This wouldn't have happened. The Stanford prison experiments.
I woke up.
What does that mean?
Nothing.
Okay. So, I mean, what do you...
Stanford prison. Like, when it comes to experiments, it's like, I don't look up too much into those, but I kind of get the gist of how they work,
Yeah.
I'm looking it up right now, but you can explain what it is.
Stanford prison experiment, very simple. So they were trying to see how being told you are in a position of authority, wearing clothes that make you look like that, and being given like rules and expectations, how it will change you and your behavior. And it was all students. All these students knew it was an experiment. They were all told about it. All they were told to do was to go to an area that was kind of modified to be a prison, or it actually was. I don't remember which. But basically, they were to simulate being the prison guards over the other half of the students. And they were told, here's how you can treat them. Go ahead, go nuts. We'll just watch and just see how your behavior goes. And none of the students thought that it would be different. All of a sudden, after, and the prison, by the way, it only went on for, I think, like 2 days. And after the first day, the guards started beating on the prisoners for no good reason. And they started getting super strict with them, and they started acting like they really were guards. And literally, the only way they were able to say it is police had to come in as a SWAT team and hold them down, and then take them out of the environment. And after a while, then they remembered that they weren't actually guards, and it was all fake. They literally thought they were.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty insane, isn't it? Yeah, it's one of the most famous experiments of all time. It's called the Stanford Prison Experiments, performed by the University of Stanford. Yeah.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah, heavy shit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, I got to get going pretty soon. So, you want to plug where people can find you?
Yeah. Just type in Druid song reviews, and you should find my channel.
Yeah, sometimes when I look up your channel, I have to type in Druid channel and then scroll down for a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, and as a last word before we go, if I'm like shaky, if I appear shaky in my political opinions here, or if I appear to contradict myself, just remember, I don't care.
Burn it all down. Burn
Yeah.
it all down.
Like if I like I said, I would be way more radical, but I'm still kind of in that transition period where it's like maybe there's still some hope. So
yeah. Well, I say this: don't ever feel rushed to create an opinion just to satisfy someone else, because at the end of the day, if you don't believe in it yourself, why should you give a shit about whether other people believe in it? I haven't completely made up my mind about the drug war. All I think is we should legalize pot and make it the same rules as alcohol. That's a conversation for a different time. But I'm just going to conclude and just say simply, I don't care if you don't like my opinion, or if you don't like that I don't have an opinion all the way. Guess what? I'd rather take my time, figure out what I really believe, and then tell you.
Yeah.
All right, Druid.
And when I get my final opinion, or when I get my definitive opinion on everything, nobody's gonna like me. I'm gonna be condemned by everybody. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh boy, I can't wait for that day to come. That's gonna be interesting.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's gonna be like, this guy is against Nazis, but he's also against all life as we know it.
Are you gonna go back to your edge side where you have fun with fire and you look at how many Molotovs at like Costco you can make?
Maybe.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's you?
That's not me right now, but I don't know. It could always be me.
Oh boy. Well, you want to end it there?
I don't know. You end it.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm just saying, you feel like you want to end this conversation because I got to do shit. But I mean, I just want to.
Yeah. I'll end it here.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Druid, for coming back on. I guarantee you, nobody has watched this yet.
Yeah, there will be.
Yeah, they will come. If you built it, they will come.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, have a good one.
All right.
Bye.
See you.